that you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your back, I disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my gun and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it.
And it's lights out, and away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix 22. It looks like Norris got a good start there. He's right alongside Aiden Jackson. We're going to go into turn 1. Is Lando Norris going to lead? Yes, he is. And Jackson runs wide, and he's going to lose out to Perez and possibly Hamilton as well. In Carlos side, no surprise there. That's Aiden Jackson going around the inside. That's side by side between Perez and Aiden Jackson into turn 1. That was a beautiful camera, and that was wonderful, showing the speed that those two were carrying. The side by side through the section. Aiden Jackson once again shows his side-by-side credentials. Did he run off the track there? Well, this should be an easy pass in theory. Oh, he locked up. Max Verstappen. Oh, and he almost did, I think that's big Schumacher. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. And down the inside, this would be an easy pass, and it is. As Aiden Jackson takes to the grass. Round outside of 130R. He's Alonso-esque. He's done it. Comes across, makes the one move. He can't come back across. Jackson denies his opportunity round the outside of turn 1. It is side by side, and Norris wins out. Oh, that's Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is out. What? Oh no. Max Verstappen has pulled off. What happened here? And it just died. It's George Russell. Oh my goodness. Aiden Jackson around the outside, going to the chicane again. Jackson is all over Lando Norris. He passed it. Oh, and Norris locks up, and Jackson will take advantage around the outside in that the exit of the chicane. Leclerc around the inside of Mick Schumacher around 30R. Oh my goodness. Mick Schumacher. Go on, lad. And sadly now, I think it's going to be redundant. No! Schumacher holds it in because he has DRS. Oh my goodness me! What a great camera view. Jackson's still there. And what is happening? They're still side by side. Look at this! Titanic battle through the left, right, left. Jackson goes a little bit wide. Hamilton comes in around the inside. We got a Titanic battle. Looks like Jackson's just got ahead. Well, welcome to the United States Grand Prix here at the Dakota circuit, which should be celebrating its 10th year on the calendar and gearing up for another unpredictable race, thanks to another mixed-up grid, in part to the rain in qualifying and another bag of good penalties. But instead, the sport, and in particular the Red Bull brand, is in mourning today, as this morning we learned of the passing of their founder, Dietrich Mateschitz, at the age of 78. Red Bull, of course, is not just a popular energy drink, but also a sport juggernaut synonymous with extreme sports and 2 football teams, RB Leipzig and RB Salzburg. Matteschitz's involvement in motorsports in particular began all the way back in the 90s as a main title sponsor for the Sauber team until 2001. But in 2004 he bought out the Jaguar outfit and rebranded them Red Bull Racing in 2025. And then brought in 2 of the sport's biggest names at the time, Christian Horner, which obviously would be after that, but another big name of the past was Adrian Newey. Later that year, he then bought out the Minardi team and renamed them Toro Rosso with the purpose of promoting young talent, in particular such as Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, of course. Both went on to win F1 championships with the main outfit, and he was also instrumental in bringing the now Red Bull ring back to the calendar in 2014. Red Bull were scheduled to attend talks with the FIA this weekend after it was revealed earlier in the week that they not only received a procedural cost cap breach but also a minor financial overspend. But of course, those talks have now been put on hold until next week. Dietrich Mateschitz was a wonderful man with a passion for the world of sport that almost no one else could match, and we thank him for bringing that passion to the sport we love. The Circuit of the Americas made its debut on the calendar in 2012, with an even 20 corners, 10 of each, and plenty of Haas fans. Speaking of, let's go on board for a lap with Kevin Magnussen. Circuit of the Americas became an instant favourite from its debut in 2012, mostly because it resembled corners and sections from other famous tracks. Like here at Turn 1, you could probably draw comparisons to the Adelaide hairpin in France, but here is the most notable section coming up right now. It literally is the American version of Maggins and Beckett's, if you like, with plenty of fast-looking corners, but of course in this Haas it can be rather tricky if your car isn't planted. Red Bull and Ferrari can deal with almost flat, maybe for a little lift off in the second half of it. So, into another hairpin here for I think it's turn 6, and then a long straight which would mirror the likes of maybe Le Castellet in France or Baku or China even, but I think it's probably the shortest of those few circuits. In fact, it could be almost as it's pretty much it's not Baku, that's for sure. It's a little shorter than that. The back straight of Baku is like twice the length of Shanghai, so it's probably Shanghai's back straight. Which probably draws the most comparison. And here's another twisty section, all sorts of corners everywhere for this one, and they come up in quick succession with pretty much no rest really. But this corner here could be flat, and actually Kevin does go almost flat with the Haas, so the Haas actually does seem planted, at least in that section, coming up to the final corner to the start finish straight, and that's a lap of Kota. Round 19 of Formula 1 in 2022 means after this, there is just 3 races and a sprint left. And we still don't know who's going to win it. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc are still tied on points. Aiden Jackson's coming up quick. What is going to happen today? Anything could as we have another mixed up grid. Commentary for the USA Grand Prix is from Aaron Henwood. Thank you, Chaos. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I really don't have the answers to any of the questions left in this 2022 season. It has gone back and forth all year, but now, as Chaos said, it is a third contender that has popped up, because Aiden Jackson is going for his 3rd win in a row. The most interesting thing about today's grid is that 2 of the 3 championship contenders are out of position. Aiden Jackson more due to missed call in the rain and going too late. Charles Leclerc, I think, took a grid penalty, and I think Max took one as well, and I think he's down to 8th. 20 corners, 3.5 kilometers, I think that is. An even number of corners in each, 10 left and 10 right. It certainly is a very interesting day. Let's take a look at the grid, and from the back, more grid penalties, folks. Joe Guan Yu and Lance Stroll at the very back, followed by the house pair of Mick Schumacher, once again beaten by his teammate Kevin Magnussen. Vettel and Latifi are the latest penalties, and there you can see Aiden Jackson going from 16th as he made the wrong call in late in Q1 behind Bottas. Sainz and Gasly 14th and 13th. Charles Leclerc was actually 11th, not 16th, that's my bad, so that is 12th. Into the top 10 we go with Ocon and Sergio Perez. Alex Albon has really come good lately since his return from appendicitis surgery. He goes from 8th today behind Ricciardo. Max Verstappen takes a grid penalty, as does Hamilton. Expect fireworks on row 3. Hakkinen and Alonso once again lining up together on the 2nd row. Pole man isn't Mr. Saturday in George Russell. It's Lando Norris instead, because for the 2nd race running, Lando Norris is on good form. And the form book from early on in the season, you have to say at this point, is completely out of the window. Both Ferrari starting further down the grid, Max Verstappen starting further down the grid, and the likes of Alonso, Norris, Russell and Hakkinen, for example. Hakkinen wasn't even here at the start of the season, and he once again goes from fourth. According to the timing tower, he's actually going to start on the soft tyres, and he's the only driver to be starting on the soft tyres. So Nico Hulkenberg is going aggressive to start this race. Now, the COTA circuit is very, very, very high on tyre wear. We're probably expecting 2 softs in this race. Even the hard tyres are very susceptible to wear today. And, well, after this, we've got the Mexico Grand Prix. We've got the Brazilian Grand Prix, plus the sprint race. And then it goes to Abu Dhabi, a year on from that very, very controversial ending. And who knows, we could probably get another one. It certainly looks like it's going to go to the final race of the season at this moment. If Aiden Jackson can get ahead of both Verstappen and Leclerc, he will take more points out of their lead. He is currently 28 behind the top 2 ahead of him at the moment. Has emerged as a very late title challenger, very late on in the day here, as Audi are really starting to close in on Mercedes in front of them. Both championships could be going to the final round, and we still might not be fully settled by then. So let's just say that 2022 is the first year of these new car regulations, and I think it's fair to say that so far they have very much delivered in terms of a very competitive season. Well, the championship is tied on points at the moment, so the evidence is there, and we could have another unexpected result today, because Lando Norris and George Russell have been the standouts since the summer break.
Okay, then give us a quick radio check. Copy that. Let's put on a show for Dietrich today, guys. We know how you can cover the field, Aiden, so have fun out there. And sentiments very much shared. Copy.
Aiden Jackson willing to put on a show for Dietrich Mateschitz, who we sadly lost yesterday. And starting from 16th, he has it all to do. But as Mark Priestley just said there, when Aiden Jackson is down the grid, we can expect a very fun race from him. Very much more than capable, as he's proven, to come through the field. It's another unpredictable race. Let's get this one started, as the season really has no definitive end. It could be another turn today. Here come the 5 red lights for the United States Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go, go, go. And George Russell and Lando Norris, very even start, but I think the Norris got the better of it. George Russell's going to be in the head. Oh, and George has got ahead, so he did get the better start. There's Aiden Jackson with a signature dive bomb into the first corner. No contact. I think just about he avoided the Alpine there of Esteban Ocon. He's already moved up to P11, so 5 positions in the first corner. Lando Norris has got back ahead of George Russell, so he obviously had the better second phase of the start going into the first corner. And championship contenders, Max Verstappen up to 6th already. Charles Leclerc is down behind his teammate Carlos Sainz, and there'll be probably team orders coming at Ferrari, although maybe not, because Carlos Sainz is actually losing his grip on 3rd place. With Aiden Jackson going for 3 in a row, he's probably not going to get it today. I think it might be just out of his reach, so it's all down to Nico Hulkenberg to get the bulk of points, although having said that, Aiden Jackson is in a point already, P10, and we're not even at the end of the first sector on lap 1 yet. Vintage Aiden Jackson at the start of this race. Alex Albon has actually moved up to 8, so he moved up a place actually. And what is happening further down? Looks like Ricardo and Perez have both passed Jackson again, or Ricardo passed Jackson momentarily, but he's back into the top 10. So let's have a look. Norris leads from Russell. We've got Alonso in 3rd. Where have Alpine and Fernando Alonso come from lately? Still in the top 3 once again for Fernando Alonso. He's really showing Aston Martin that they made the right choice to sign him for 2023. Hakkinen 4th ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen haven't come to blows yet on the track, and I mean obviously car contact, obviously. Albon 7th for Barcelona. Perez and Aiden Jackson, vintage lap 1 fight back has begun, and I think there was contact between Tsunoda and Perez. That will not go down well in the Red Bull family. And Perez is looking to hold on around the outside as we begin lap 2. No DRS for this lap. Aiden Jackson really just needs to wait. Obviously struggling in that corner. He struggled with that section all weekend. So the start for George Russell, he was the initial winner of the start, but what happened in turn 1? This is an easy pass to the lead. He was there before the corner even came up. And, he got a bit out of shape on the exit. Got a bit squirrely with a little bit of oversteer. That would give Norris, obviously, who had a bad exit, the impetus to get back past. And Lando Norris now on for his second win of his career after winning Austria last year. So let's have a look at this for Jackson. It should be vintage Aiden Jackson off the start. Doesn't get the best of it, mind you. But he does his Azerbaijan 2021 trick of diving down the inside, somehow avoiding all kinds of contact he could possibly get. A little brush on the Alpine of Ocon, but it'd be relatively harmless. And on goes Aiden Jackson, vintage turn 1. And vintage fight mode from Aiden Jackson once again. And he's already back into the points. You can have a look at this move from Perez that he did on Tsunoda. Very reminiscent of the AlphaTauri battle from last season. And he got through, didn't he? He was in control. It was a bit of a lunge, but in all honesty, I think that should be harmless between those two. Now, what I mean last season is that I think it was Gasly that spun into hit Tsunoda into a spin, and there was a multi-car pile-up at turn 1. And Perez, this is Perez, he's slowing down. Has the Red Bull engine gone in Perez now? Is that a dead engine in the Red Bull powertrain again? And it is. And another Red Bull powertrain engine goes bye-bye and exits the Grand Prix, I guess, as Leclerc comes in. Leclerc is in on lap 3, DRS enabled, and we've got drivers coming in for front wing changes, I guess. The Alfa Romeo just driving through the pits rather than what was going on there. And for Charles Leclerc, well, we don't know what that contact was, but for Charles Leclerc, that is absolutely disastrous, to be completely honest, because that now puts him in 18th place with his main championship rival, Max Verstappen, up in 6th. And his other championship rival, which we can call him now, I suppose, even though he's more on the outside looking in, Aiden Jackson, up to 9th now, because obviously, how is he up to 9th? Let's see. Charles was behind them on the racetrack, so how is Jackson has made his way up to 9th? I think it might be Ocon, dropping to 11th. In fact, I think he was already there. So Jackson has passed someone else, because the last we saw he was 10th. I'm trying to think. It's Perez. It's Perez backing up, that's what it is. Perez's retirement has moved Jackson up to 9th now. So Perez is out, so that's a loss of points now for Red Bull, and they're not going to get that many points at the moment. The big winners here currently are Mercedes, because we've got George Russell in 2nd on for 17 points, and they've got Lewis Hamilton on for another 10 points for 5th place. Now, Häkkinen's 4th will even that out a little bit, and Jackson's back in the points, but so far, Mercedes would get more points than Audi, but not that many, because Jackson has already made his way back into the points. Alex Albon, doing another tremendous job in the Williams, really has come good since his appendicitis surgery took him out of the Italian Grand Prix, of course. But since then, Albon has scored on every occasion, I think, since his return. So, Albon really coming good now. And Williams coming good as well. It's good to see. We've got a Haas in the pits. There's Kevin Magnussen. I believe Kevin Magnussen's had a front wing change. So here we go, folks. We have another race where from last season, if you remember the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, we lost a lot of front wings. And I think we've had 4 in the space of these first 4 laps. So don't expect that to be the last that we lose in front wings, because a lot of people were losing their car parts today, it seems. We're going to have one of those, are we? As Aiden Jackson now sets his sights on the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda. Jackson could probably at least get it maybe up to 6th or 5th here. And we were saying last time out that the USA and Mexican Grand Prix are 2 of Jackson's weakest tracks in terms of last season. Last season was probably two of his worst races. I think he was lapped in one of them. In Mexico, he started high up the grid, but because of the deficiencies of the Haas, he fell down a cliff and lost all the positions he had by a few at the back, almost making good there on Yuki Tsunoda, but I think he cut the corner and gave the advantage back. Is he going to try to turn one? No. And, well, there was contact between Perez and Tsunoda. Looks like they did get through on skate. Maybe Perez is breaking down because of that contact. I don't think it would have really affected things too much. There was contact, but I don't think it was really a hard enough hit to warrant a pit stop or a car retirement. So it looks like Perez probably just ran into engine troubles, and it doesn't vote well for Red Bull for the rest of the season either. And might force Perez into another group penalty. Max has taken a couple in the last couple of races, but today Max didn't take so many. I think he had a gearbox change, and that's why he was down in 8th on the grid. He's already made his way up to 6th. Actually, he was 6th to begin with, my apologies, because he and Hamilton were on the 3rd row at the start. And Jackson have another look at the AlphaTauri of Tsunoda. Jackson's still relatively struggling around here, but anything is an improvement over last season. But facing his first Q1 elimination since 2021, I believe. Unless he started, I think he started towards the back in Hungary, didn't he? Due to warm car components. So I don't think he had the full engine power that he could have had. But I think there was a late rain shower, and Jackson misjudged when to go back onto the dry tyres to run for the rest of the session, and just didn't really lift out the pace. But today, Audi are very looking good, strongly race driven. Jackson takes to the outside around Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda brakes. Oh no, Tsunoda going to hit Albert. I think he did. There is a piece of debris there, and we have another damaged car. 6 laps, and we've had about as many cars with front wing damage. Oh, for Tsunoda, that's very much front wing damage. That's the front wing completely off for Yuki Tsunoda, so Jackson just has to bide his time now, because he'll pass Tsunoda with relative ease. Oh, he's lost out to Ricciardo, and this will be a front scrap in Jackson, Daniel Ricciardo. Very much last of the late breakers, these two at times. Jackson's fought back. He's probably slightly frustrated to know that Tsunoda has holding him up, but he'll get past on the straight for sure. So that's another position for Charles Leclerc to gain. Down in 17th, struggling to pass Mick Schumacher again. Very much like in Suzuka. But to be fair, he's 14 seconds behind Schumacher right now. So championship advantage goes to Max Verstappen. He'll take the championship lead. Will Aiden Jackson overtake Leclerc? I don't think so. He's 28 behind right now, so even a race win wouldn't work for Aiden Jackson to take the lead of the championship. And last of the late breakers there, Yuki Tsunoda, maybe a lock-up as well. And, well, he'll know from last season, as we said earlier, when Pierre Gasly, his own teammate, turned him into a spin, causing a traffic jam. Mick Schumacher was involved in it. Stroll was involved in it as well. Max Verstappen is coming out of the pits. Lap 7. And did he have a front wing change? Oh, blimey. And that changes things completely. So Max Verstappen now down in 14th. Charles Leclerc down in 16th. And the one championship scorer, Aiden Jackson. The pendulum has swung again. What happened to Max Verstappen? We don't need to replay a rock-on right now. We need to find out what happened to Verstappen. Because that's very early for a pit stop. Oh god, slamming into the Ferrari, losing his front wing as well. I'm going to assume that his front wing damage was Verstappen. Because I don't think lap 7 and very few people are coming on the soft tyres, so I think there was damage from Verstappen. We haven't got a replay of it, unfortunately, but we certainly got a replay of Ocon, and he lost his front wing, and he's going to get it changed. So both championship contenders have now been in the wars, or at least 2 of them have. Jackson's kept his nose clean for now. Max Verstappen back up to 12th. He's not far off a point. He can rescue a point from there. But right now, the championship advantage, Aiden Jackson now, and he's not even going to make a position back, even if he wins this race, which he probably could do from here, although it is a bit of a gap between Albon and Jackson. Hamilton, sorry. And, well, here comes Aiden Jackson. It's going to be rather academic. Yep, more or less. Although Albon is going to hold it around the outside. Credit to Alex Albon. But the Audi is a very strong car in race trip. Aiden Jackson up to 6th. And now he will be able to close the gap even further on the 2 ahead of him. And right now, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are having a very mare of a time, both of them. Because they've both been in the wars, both been in the pits, and now both out of the points again. For Max in Japan, it wasn't really his fault, even though he wasn't really making any inroads on anyone ahead of him. Right now, the real winners seem to be McLaren and Mercedes and Alpine, who have made the biggest jumps since we came back from the summer break. Alonso's been, I think he spent his, I think this is like his 4th consecutive race in the top 5 in qualifying. And he's currently 3rd right now. Nico Hulkenberg going for another podium. And increasing his podium tally. And doing well to hold on to the Alpine of Alonso. Can he pass him? That's the question. He might have a chance here down this straight. This is a very long straight. Probably the length of Shanghai's back straight, so to speak. And Alonso won't have DRS and Hakkinen will. Alpine looking very fast in a straight line. Look at that. Even with DRS, Hakkinen's not really closing on him so much. So Alpine looking very strong in a straight line here. George Russell and Lando Norris have already raced away to a 3-second lead as they stay in close proximity. So it seems to be a fight between Mercedes and McLaren for this race win at the moment. Well, Aiden Jackson said at the start of the race on the formation lap, putting on a show for Dietrich today. Dietrich Mateschitz, of course, the owner of the Red Bull brand, sadly passing away yesterday at the age of 78. And Aiden Jackson has certainly put on a show in these opening laps. Look at that. McLaren back at the top of the table. It's been a while. Austria 2021 was the last time McLaren won a Grand Prix. Looks like they could be on for another one. Max Verstappen already moving up to P11 as he begins his fight back from an early stop. And look who's ahead of him. Sebastian Vettel in the points. He's had a wretched year, Sebastian Vettel, for his final year in Formula 1, and it's about to probably get worse. Aston Martin just haven't been at the races this year, and it's been hugely unfortunate and very, very disappointing in terms of, you know, we know how good Sebastian Vettel is. He's a 4-time world champion for a reason, but unfortunately he's had a few cars now that have really masked his talent. Aston Martin, as we said, probably one of the teams that have gone backwards from 2021. Mercedes would certainly make a case for that. They're not even going to win the title this year, and they could even be 4th behind Audi before too long. And Max Verstappen passes Sebastian Vettel, although he's all out of shape in that corner. And Max is struggling with the handling of his car. Oh, he got ahead eventually, but it took some doing. That was very scary for Verstappen. Really can't afford to drop too many more points. We know Charles Leclerc is out of the points at the moment. He's got to 14, 4 seconds behind Lance Stroll. Now Ferrari, comparable to Aston Martin, should make that up pretty quickly. So Nico Hulkenberg looking at the moment for podium number 53 of his very much legendary career at this moment. Scored 52 earlier on at Monza. And what a comeback Mika Häkkinen has had. It's going to be such a shame that we won't really see him again after Abu Dhabi. That's going to be a fond farewell indeed. Häkkinen has got that itch off his back. He convinced himself that it was time to stop in 2002, but it was still there, and very much the experience and skill is still there despite his ever-increasing age. But my goodness, has he had a run. And it really proves good for this Audi car. They've had a good season, to be fair. And if they could take some of this expertise with them to Sauber in 2026, watch out. And will they have this man back by then? Aiden Jackson has been the cornerstone of this magnificent year for a team that was new and probably had the disadvantage of being earlier than planned. You know, sometimes that they can forward it, but sometimes it won't really work out because of the speed of it. But right now, they are the fruits of their labour. It's been magnificent. And like I said, if they can take some of these expertise with them to the Sauber team, or what is known currently as Alfa Romeo until the end of next season, I would say in 2026, with the new cars as well, it's going to be very interesting. Lando Norris is doing a very good job out front of keeping ahead of George Russell. Norris is in no man's land, more or less. Very long and effective DRS zones, but he's keeping ahead of Russell. And this is a battle dating all the way back to 2018 for the F2 Championship, or the GP2 Championship, I think it was known back then. I think F2 was a year later, I think, or it made its debut in 2018. That might have actually been the case. It was George Russell, Alex Albon and Lando Norris that were the main three that year. And the championship went down, I think, to the final rounds between Norris and Russell in particular. Now they're having a bit of a rematch. Many F2 stars in this field currently. 2018 champion George Russell. A star in Lando Norris, a star in Nicholas Latifi, but Alex Albon as well, but Latifi as well. I think he was a couple of exports in F2 as well. He did pretty well, but they were the three. And then you've got 2020 champion Mick Schumacher, runner-up Aiden Jackson that year, as Charles Leclerc makes simple work of Lance Stroll, or was that Carlos Sainz? No, that was definitely Charles Leclerc. In fact, I think he was battling with Bottas. So, no. He has passed Lance Stroll. So, Leclerc is flying at this very moment because he's making his way through. But Max Verstappen is now back in the points for P9. So, that's a 2-point lead that Verstappen will have. Now, here's Magnussen again for a pit stop. He was on the soft tyres. They've been relatively ineffective. No front wing change for Haas this time. It's been a bit of a poor weekend for Haas, really. But ultimate row of the grid, mostly due to grid penalties. And coming off the highs of, I think it was Japan, where Magnussen scored more points for Haas. It's really been a gulf between him and Mick Schumacher this season. I think even if Mick had scored those points in Zandvoort, I think Magnussen would have been still clearly ahead. Mick has just not had the luck, to be honest, or the car, and a couple of mistakes of his own, to be fair. And the Mercedes of Hamilton's in, no front wing change there, or at Alpine, so at least for now the front wing curse has stopped. At least for now. And the stop for Alonso now puts Häkkinen definitely looking at podium 53. As Jackson comes in and goes on the hard tyres. I think Albon is in as well. And will Jackson come out ahead of Leclerc? He certainly will. And that's vital for the championship then. Charles finally back into the points. No doubt he'll have to stop again though. Max Verstappen now up to 5th. And Lando Norris is still ahead of George Russell. And to continue with the F2 high stars at the moment, maybe next year we'll be seeing some others. Unfortunately not Cali Mayer. He's going to be at Formula Academy instead. I don't think there's any seat for Felipe Dragovic, but we still could see at least what we will definitely see at least one more with Logan Sargent at Williams next year. But will we see Devin Butler at Connosport? That seems to be the most likely route that they will take. To be fair, I don't think there's many other options available that Connosport could realistically pick right now. They could go for Dragovic. He could be an option. Maybe even, well, not Lawson, because he's tied at the Red Bull Academy. We could still see Liam Lawson at AlphaTauri as well. Don't forget that. Liam Lawson, very much a very decent F2 season. He really lost out the championship, really, because of Cali Mayer's amazing consistency. So maybe Devin Butler is the only man on the cards that Connosport could realistically pick, and we feel, many people feel that Davidoff Butler will definitely have a say in it. And of course the CEO of Butler Global, which is Connosport's primary contributor and sponsor. So that definitely does look like the most obvious choice. And like we said a couple of times, as Sebastian Vettel gets very close to the AlphaTauri there of Tsunoda and the heart of his good friend Mick Schumacher, and he lets him by, probably not willingly, but certainly helped Mick Schumacher in his quest for points as it goes on. Peter 13 currently now, Mick Schumacher. Alex Albon, got to give him tremendous credit. He's done so well. It's coming back from the bout of appendicitis at Monza. It's really come good. And finally Williams are starting to get some more common points on the board. So like we said in the F2 race, I believe, with Logan Sargent, who's been looking very decent in this half of the season in F2. If Logan Sargent can take that through to next season, expect Williams to be more commonly in the points. Oh, and there's Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen is third, chasing George Russell now, and that could be interesting. Now, I believe Max will have to stop again, because he had to stop on lap 4 for some reason. Jackson ahead of Charles Leclerc. So close the gap on Leclerc at the very least. Leclerc is coming in again. And what's this for? We don't actually know. He's dropped out of the points to 11th. It's probably for a tyre stop. And Max Verstappen, all of a sudden, despite having an early stop, now seems to be the big winner. And look at this. Mick Schumacher and Charles Leclerc are locked in combat again. And Mick Schumacher certainly been battling some really big names in the last few races. He may be confined out of the points, but to be fair, Mick Schumacher trying to hold his own against really big hitters like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton in the last few races. So credit where credit's due, Mick Schumacher trying to prove his worth. Just a shame that it really hasn't amounted to any points. I'm very surprised Mick Schumacher hasn't been a talking point when it comes to Connosport. I'm really surprised they've not really mentioned him. I would have thought that Aiden Jackson, who's very good friends with Mick Schumacher from their time at Haas, would have thought Aiden Jackson would probably put a word in. Maybe he has, and maybe that's just not going to come to fruition. I can see a lot of teams looking at 0 points throughout the season and probably going no, unfortunately. But I might sound biased, but I do think Mick Schumacher still has a lot of untapped potential. You don't become 2020 F2 champion by accident. You don't become other champions in other formulas by accident. A lot of people have to really see that with Mick Schumacher. It's still untapped potential. Last year's Haas was a write-off. Speaking of which, here he comes into the pits. Does he have a front wing change? He does. And his fierce battle with Leclerc had him in the wars. It's not been the greatest weekend for Haas anyway. Can't really blame Schumacher for this one. But, yeah, I'm surprised Connorsville haven't really mentioned him. But, like we said, maybe Davidoff Butler has had a word. And maybe convinced Connorsville that maybe his son, Devin, could be a logical option. And let's face it, he could. As we said, Indy 500 winner. Top 5 in the standings this season. His first Indy 500 season, IndyCar season. Max Verstappen's in again. And what's this for? Is this for another front wing? No, it must be for his pit stop, I would have thought. And it certainly is. So, where does Max come out in all of this? That's the interesting point now. He's going to be behind Jackson at least. Jackson's just passed him. Where is Carlos Sainz? That's the question. And he's going to pass him, I think. There he is. Now, can Max get out ahead of Carlos Sainz? This will be crucial if he can. And he does, rather comfortably actually. So now, that is cleared of a possible obstacle that Carlos Sainz could be. Because guess what? Charles Leclerc is still not in the points. He's only P12. And he's behind Tsunoda, who's got a 6-second gap between him and Ricciardo. So, Charles Leclerc could really score no points in this race either. And Leclerc had a bit of a crazy race at Singapore, colliding with Jackson, but unfortunately for him, Charles was able to take advantage of a safety car that came out and not lose a lot of time behind it, having to change his front wing. He finished second to Jackson that day, but that was really because of all the tyre strategies that got mixed up. Charles and Aiden Jackson made the right call to take another set of new intermediates. And then when the track dried out, I think everyone went to another set of intermediates because the track wasn't fully dry yet. And when they did, Leclerc was able to take the initiative there. So this is a P11 now. And there's Hakkinen leading Alonso and Hamilton now. So has Hakkinen jobbed Alonso in the pit stops, do you think? He might have done, you know. Wonderful call by Audi if that's the case. Where's Hakkinen on? I'd like to see Hakkinen's tyres. Because if he's on the hards. And I'm assuming he pitted because everyone was on the mediums. So Hakkinen has jumped Alonso in the pit lane. And Audi, who have already brought over College Sport pit crew members, replacing the Raven West ones that were at the start of the season. They went back to the Grid World Series to really kind of comply with the contract of Hulkenberg, who is currently at Raven West, replacing Lara Carvalho until the end of the season. Which I believe ends pretty soon. It's a couple of rounds from now. So Hulkenberg should be back for 2023. We already know that he is pretty much penciled in as Mick Schumacher's replacement for the 2023 season in a move that surprises no one. Really, I think Audi had a bigger say in that than many would like to admit, to be honest. I mean, Hulkenberg had really no other options aside from Connorsville, and we know where they're going, mostly, for 2023. What's the car going to be like for Connorsville? It should be pretty decent by all accounts. And Aiden Jackson has had a pretty good stunning stint of this race because now he is P6 and actually staring at the back of P5 to P3 ahead. So Jackson's actually done a brilliant job of getting back in amongst the mix. He's still ahead of Verstappen right now by about 6 seconds, I want to say. So that's going to be an interesting battle. But can Jackson get at least 4th here? As Charles Leclerc drops down the order. He's just come in, so it's another front wing change for Charles Leclerc. It is all going pear-shaped for Leclerc and Ferrari right now. Absolute calamities. Charles Leclerc has to change his front wing again. I'm going to guess that he got close to Tsunoda. And he did. It's in the first corner again. And yeah, I think he just turns into Tsunoda, quite honestly. Does Tsunoda lock up? We don't really know. Didn't really get a good view of that. There was certainly a lock up by one of those two. And, well, advantage for Verstappen. Because he's currently one that's scoring right now. But to be fair, Aiden Jackson is scoring more. So Jackson will close the gap. He's about 28 right now, isn't he? So let's have a look at this. 25 for a win, 18 for second, 15 for third. So that's 15 for Audi right off the bat because that's where Hackett is right now. 12, 11, I think it's 10 for Jackson at the moment. So Audi are going to be on 25 points at this moment. Unless Jackson can gain a couple more places, which he probably could. Mercedes, who are looking over their shoulders a bit. George Russell is going to get 18 for second and 11 for fifth with Hamilton, or 12. So that'll mean Audi's on 30. So they Mercedes are on 30. So they'll get a 5-point swing in their favour right now. But I don't think Aiden Jackson is going to be behind Hamilton for very long. How amazing is it to see that the Mercedes loaned out to Audi to gain experience, ready for a possible Mercedes in the future, is actually more often than not this season been ahead of them. Oh, this boy's a talent. I hope Toto Wolff meant what he said when he said, I will not make the same mistake with Aiden that I've made in the past. And he was, of course, referring to Pascal Wehrlein, who, unfortunately, you have to say, Mercedes probably failed a little bit, sadly. At the time, and in hindsight, picking Bottas was the right decision, but were Mercedes so far ahead that it wouldn't have mattered? And in some cases, they were. 2020, especially. Down the inside goes Aiden Jackson to turn one. It's an easy move. A beautiful move from Aiden Jackson again, as he continues to just be there, doesn't he? Well, it's certainly been a redemption run for Aiden Jackson at the US Grand Prix this year. He's confined to the back last one. Look at this. So far back, but sees Hamilton locking up and takes the advantage. Beautiful move. It takes a lot to spook Hamilton, so maybe Hamilton's struggling with his brakes a bit, because I don't think that was really unnerving him. But here comes Verstappen. Maybe Hamilton is suffering from some tyre wear right now, because Verstappen is coming, and well, Verstappen cannot afford to get into a tussle with Hamilton that results in car damage. And they had a lot of it last season, as we know. So, is it inevitable? Or will Max pick at the championship here? Because he will take the lead no matter what, because Charles Leclerc has been in the wars as well. And they have to think about it. Max, in another sense though, Max does need to get on with it, because Aiden Jackson is absolutely flying at the moment. He's going to get at least 4th. I think Audi will tell him not to battle Hackett for the rest of the race, although to be fair, once Jackson passes him, it is a 3-second gap. So I think when Jackson does pass him, and it probably will be when, because right now he's on it, around the outside, in comes Hamilton. Verstappen got a bit out of shape. Was that a bit of debris from the Red Bull? Have Mercedes and Hamilton made contact again? Jackson round the outside. And I think There was some debris that came off Hamilton or Verstappen's car. They've made contact again. Oh, these two, they just cannot stay away from each other on the racetrack. Oh, is there damage to either or? And if it's Verstappen, it's going to absolutely swing the pendulum back towards Aiden Jackson. Where's Verstappen coming in? I think he is. Verstappen broke his front wing. More contact between him and Hamilton. Another controversial incident. Max is in for a front wing change. How much would he lose? Well, to be honest, not a lot. Because Charles Leclerc is down in 16th place, not scoring points today. But the crucial thing is that Aiden Jackson is now 4th. He will stay there, more often than not, barring mechanical issues. Which Jackson shouldn't have, incidentally. But you never know. But, they did it again. Hamilton and Verstappen contact again. Oh, calamity at Red Bull. Calamity for both championship protagonists, or main ones anyway. Here's Aiden Jackson. This is his move on Alonso, I guess. He did make his way up to 4th in the end. Lock up from the Alpine. And once again, Jackson takes the first corner beautifully, to be fair. Really has come good from last season, but Max Verstappen, unbelievably, folks, though, I say it, he's still going to get a point here. But it could and should have been more. But I think, you know what? I think, to be fair, I think that was rather unintentional on both counts. I think Verstappen, what happened was, I think he ran out on a curb, to be honest, down the straight, lost control of his car, and fortunately Hamilton hasn't suffered any damage for him to pit. And, well, now we're back at the front. We haven't really talked about these two for a while, because George Russell and Lando Norris have been in a race of their own, to be fair. George Russell really should be passing Norris here. But I think McLaren... Oh, and Norris didn't have the best exit of that corner. I wanted that to give George an opportunity, maybe to pass him. Now, is Aiden Jackson catching Hackett? The answer is yes, but not by much. So, I think Aiden Jackson has got 4th. And hear this, Ferrari are going to get some points here. Because Carlos Sainz is 7th. Now, how far can Max get here? I think he could probably get at least 8th, because that's Ricciardo and Albon ahead. And it's going to be a shame for Alex Albon, because now McLaren seem very strong around here, as Lando Norris has proven. And Albon is being chased by the other one, Daniel Ricciardo, and Max Verstappen. So, unfortunately, it looks like Albon may, I emphasize there, may drop out of the points, and that would be really, really unfortunate, because he's had a really good run lately. It's Lance Stroll in P13 as Aston Martin just continue to be really nowhere. Charles Leclerc has cleared the Haas drivers, and we're now battling amongst themselves. They might as well, but don't make any contact, please, boys. Mick Schumacher takes 17th. Mick Gasly, where has he been? This Grand Prix down in 20th and last, not last, but down in 20th and really going nowhere, to be fair. So Daniel Ricciardo battles with Alex Albon over 9th place, and Albon has dropped a position. Daniel Ricciardo has passed him. Alex Albon is still showing his 9th, so Albon, even if Verstappen passes him, will still get a point. So I must have read that wrong before, because I thought Albon was going to drop out of the points. But even if Max passes him, Albon will still be 10th, so it'll still be another vital point for Williams, and there's a 10-second gap between him and Verstappen and Tsunoda. So we've got 2 laps left, and here comes Max Verstappen. And it's rather academic, I'm afraid, because Max is on the soft tyres and a much better car than the Williams. He's going to take Ricciardo with him, and he does. Oh, Max Verstappen. Another late bandside, not bandside move, but another double overtake towards the end of the race. Max Verstappen, another beautiful move. And people will ask, why didn't this happen with Hamilton? Albon had DRS and Max had DRS. Look at the advantage that Max has on his soft tyres. That's soft tyres advantage for you. To be fair, Albon held it in, but look at that. Excuse me. And that was a beautiful move from Verstappen. Another double overtake. And we said at the beginning of the season that these cars will really favour the driving styles of Max Verstappen and Aiden Jackson because they are very similar. And I think that has proven to be the case. Max Verstappen will take the lead of the championship today because Charles Leclerc will have no points, and Aiden Jackson will close on the both of them because he has more points than both. So, advantage Jackson today. From 16th on the grid, he once again puts on a show. Last lap, Lando Norris leads this race with George Russell. It looks like Lando is going to get win number 2 of his career, following on from last season at the Austrian Grand Prix. And McLaren, the first win since the same time length. In fact, no, that's wrong. Ricciardo scored in Brazil, I think. So, double win for McLaren last season and one this year. Where would McLaren be in a year or so's time? I would keep an eye on McLaren, folks. They really do seem like they are finally getting back towards the front on a regular basis. It's not really shown so much this year. It's rather been the second half of this year where Norris in particular has come really good. And to the point where he's going to win this race. Because now we've passed the first DRS zone with Russell getting nowhere near. So the McLaren is pretty deep in a straight line as well. But win number 2 in the career of Lando Norris is just a few corners away. Big points for McLaren. And I would say next year when McLaren land the talent undoubtedly of Oscar Piastri with a semi-good car underneath him, and Norris, who's now a 2-time Grand Prix winner today, taking the checkered flag at the US Grand Prix. Where will McLaren be next season? Well, next season's form book could be completely out of the window, even with the second year of these new regulations. McLaren, we said, were the dark horses for the championship. It's not really proven to be the case, but at least they will win the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen actually gets a bonus point for the fastest lap at the last, and that was after clearing Albon and Ricciardo on the previous lap. Mika Hakkinen gets podium number 53 for Audi. He's rather gone unnoticed towards the end of this race, but a win for McLaren and a win for Lando Norris. I don't think we would have said that at the start. We said that McLaren were the dark horses. It's not really proven to be the case, but another glimpse of what can be, hopefully, for McLaren. Probably most likely in 2023 at this point. Double points for Audi, outscoring Mercedes 27, 26. So Audi actually outscored Mercedes by 1 point. And I don't think that puts them to third yet, but it does put them a point closer. I'll look at the standings in a moment. Max Verstappen will take back the championship lead with 5 points lead now over Charles Leclerc, but Aiden Jackson's closed in a little bit more. With 3 races and a sprint to go, who's to say Aiden Jackson can't take it from here? He's got a bit of a difficult one, but we'll see if Aiden Jackson can pull out another kind of good performance in Mexico, another track where he was weak last season. But he's definitely in with a shout. Can Hakkinen get 9th? Not really. But he is very much clear of those behind him. So he will finish in the top 10 this season. And after just a few races, that's a very good haul of points for the 99 and 1998 world champions. So, Mercedes are now, I think that's 9 points. Mercedes looking over their shoulders a bit. Ferrari still had the championship lead by 44 points, but it could have been so much more today. But Charles Leclerc had an absolute mare, and Verstappen was a much better So today belongs to the three are most likely on podium sitters in Lando Norris, George Russell and Mika Hakkinen, increasing his podium tally to 53. Well, where can this season go next? We'll see in Mexico when Formula 1 returns. We still don't know who's going to win anything. What a year this is turning into.